Happy Friday. It's Friday, right? My name is Ellen, and we're at Wild Birds Unlimited in Joliet. On Fridays, we go live to tell you what's new, what's happening at the store, but what's happening out in nature. Well, this weekend is projected to be some hot weather, but we have some really great ways to keep your birds cool and keep them coming back for more. So stay tuned. That's what we're going to talk about. That's the main topic. But we do have two awesome events to finish out our June. The first one is happening tomorrow from 11 to 3 p.m. We're going to have St. Sophia's Forgotten Felines here at the store. They're hopefully bringing their adoption trailer. If they don't bring the adoption trailer, it's just because of a mix-up that happened with pulling the trailer and things, but they will still be here regardless. So if you don't see the trailer outside, they're probably here inside with all the cat and kittens. And it's a great way to find forever homes for these adoptable cats and kittens. So if you don't know about St. Sophia's Cat Adoption, they really have a great, organization. Like many adoption agencies, they are doing wonderful work, saving lives, finding forever homes for these cats and kittens, which we know is so important. But also, what I personally love about their organization is that when you sign up to become an adopter and you are being approved to be that adopter of a new cat or kitten, they ask that you keep the cat or kitten indoors, which we know is a big part of saving the songbirds, because cats unfortunately kill and harm wildlife, not only our birds but lots of wildlife, and they're not a native predator, so it kind of gives them an unfair advantage. And whether they are a feral cat or a domestic cat, they do their hunt thing because that's what they're innate to do. And while I love cats, I've had cats my life growing up and in my adulthood, it's best to keep cats inside because it keeps them healthy and it keeps the wildlife safe and healthy too. So keep that in mind, keep cats indoors, but it also is a great opportunity to get your hands on some cats and kittens, cuddle up with them, enjoy them, but also perhaps you are looking for a new best friend, and one of these cats or kittens could be your potential new best friend. So consider coming by between 11 and 3 tomorrow for this cat adoption event that we're having at the store. But also coming up next, the following Saturday, that would be the 28th, we're having Katie's Crafts pop-up shop. She's local to Plainfield, and she's a crafter artist that creates different t-shirts, and I even heard that she does some earrings, some spinners of sorts. So come by and check hers out. It's going to be all bird nerd themed, and I'm really excited. I'm having a t-shirt delivered here this weekend, so hopefully I can wear it for the Friday before her event for our Friday Live. So that's really exciting. And speaking about next Friday, we're headed this coming up week. My mom and I, Kathy and I, will be headed out to the conference and trade show for Wild Birds Unlimited. So we're going to be actually in Ohio Monday through Saturday, but that's really exciting. And I'm going to take you through the trade show and show you all the upcoming new things that we might be bringing in. I always love your feedback, so if you have something that you would be considering or wanting us to bring in, or something that you would like us to try to find, put it in the comments. I would love to hear what you would like to see new here at the store. Just give us put it in the comments, and I'll put those in our notes for when we go to trade show. So that's really exciting. But yeah, so what's happening with this weekend in this hot weather? And tonight we're really talking about water for birds, providing water, because when the hot heat of summer comes down, by the way, happy first day of summer, when we get into this high heat, we can do a couple things. And we can help birds by just providing water. Now, a couple fun facts I want to mention, right, is that birds are kind of like dogs in that they do pant. And if you see them panting outside, that's one way they are trying to cool down. So it's not that there's something wrong, there's not something stuck in their throat. They are simply trying to bring that cool air into their lungs, and just like when dogs are panting, and it cools their body temperatures down. So it's kind of a really cool trait that they have, and the cool behavior. I've seen it specifically in robins. Robins often, I've seen them do it, but many species, in fact all species do that. But sometimes you get to see some of that behavior more so in others than other birds. So keep your eyes out. Maybe you'll see some of that cool bird behavior happening this weekend when we get into those high temperatures. But another fun fact here is that, did you know that maybe not all birds will come to your feeders, but all birds will come to water and need water? And in fact, some birds will visit water sources more than feeder sources in the summertime. So water is a really great way, and providing water can really give you an edge over your neighbors who maybe you're competing for your birds, your local birds. That is a great way to not only bring in different new bird species, but all the bird species. So every bird needs water. All birds need water for a couple reasons, right? We need water to stay hydrated. Just like humans, just like every living thing, we need the right things to survive and thrive, and birds are no different. Just like humans, we need water to survive, and so do your birds. So they need to stay hydrated. It also cools them down. Who has ever seen those birds that are taking, I always say, like in the jacuzzi at your bird bath, and they're splashing around having an epic pool party? I don't know about you, but I know I have seen that happen quite a few times here at the store, but also at my house. One of the things I love about my backyard is all of our bird baths, and how much birds and other creatures, like our critters, like our chipmunks, squirrels, will come to the water, especially in low ground level water. But also butterflies and bees will take advantage of shallow water that is provided out there. So many species, not only our birds, can benefit from providing that water out there. So let's get into it. Before I get started, happy Friday, friends! Before I get going on depth in this, I want to ask this question. Have you seen more bird activity at your bird bath lately? Because this hot temperature that we're starting to get in sometimes drives birds to water sources that they wouldn't naturally or always go to, right? So a lot of times birds find their natural water sources first. And sometimes those are shallow depressions in the ground that sometimes don't drain out right away. But when we get into these high temperatures, sometimes those natural resources, water resources, will dry up. Case in point, our water source out here at the store. So we have this beautiful area that we get to feed our birds right outside the store. And down below the hill is a small creek. And yes, it runs into a marshy area behind the preserve. But that water has been dried up for several weeks now. Because of the temperatures and that high heat, when we don't have a lot of water coming, that creek dries up. And that is when I see a lot more activity at our bird baths than in times when that creek is active and flowing. So keep being mindful out there, and just check next time. Are your birds using your bird baths more often now than they were a couple weeks ago, or say in spring? Let me know in the comments what you think. What have you seen? Let me know. I'd love to hear. All right, so we talked about providing water because birds need that to stay fresh and cool. They need to stay hydrated. But also, water is so important to birds because they need to preen. And if you're not sure what preening means, essentially it's cleaning up those feathers and keeping them in top flight shape. So when birds preen, they spread oils from preening glands. And usually those are around kind of the shoulder or under the armpit area of the bird. And they use those oils and they will rub it all along their feathers. Well, many birds actually take advantage of water to help spread those preening oils. Birds need to be in top flight condition at all times. It's not only to help them do their daily bird tasks, but it keeps them safe. If a predator comes in and they need to soar off in a top flight manner, they can't do that if their feathers aren't maintained properly. So water is so important, not only for hydration and to stay cool on hot summer days, but it's also important to keep in flight condition. So that's why it's so important to put out water. Now, how can we provide water? Well, we can provide water in a multitude of ways. But obviously one of the easiest and quickest ways to provide water is by putting one in a bird bath. Yes, we have a variety of styles here at the store. And I'm sure you can see kind of in my background, I have a glass one, I have a concrete one, I even have like a metal ones. I have this one right here that the heron is standing on is a ceramic bird bath. But they also come in plastic. And each style is great for its own reasons, right? So sometimes you want a statement piece, not only just a bird bath, but you want your bird bath to be an art piece in your yard. So sometimes those ceramic or those glass or the concrete ones can really make a big impact on the art and the landscape, the beautiful design you have in your backyard. But if you want to go for something more functional or you are on a little bit tighter of a budget, plastic is the way to go. Super easy to clean, lightweight, and there is a multitude of options on where to put bird baths like these. So when it comes to bird baths, I like to consider the 3 areas, right? So elevated. One of my favorite ways elevated would be like a hanging bird bath. So I grabbed this one. This one is so pretty. It has 3 butterflies on it, and yes, it hangs. So this is a great way to offer an elevated hanging bird bath for maybe those small little goldfinches or chickadees, those birds that sometimes get a little intimidated by a larger bird bath that are attracting many different types of birds. So keep that in mind. I also like to do ones that are about medium height. So that would be about your typical height for your standing bird baths. You know, mid-level, about the height of your waist or maybe a little bit lower. Then think about ground level. And I'm talking, of course I didn't bring it out here, I had it in the back, but the ground level. So just off the ground, maybe a few inches off the ground or directly on the ground. All of those are great options. And the best is if you can do all 3 in one space, because you're going to attract all the different varieties of birds in and meet them where they like to be. We know birds feed and eat and live their lives in different levels of on Earth, right? Some are hanging out in the tip tops of the trees. Some are kind of in the middle level, hanging the perch on their tree branches in the mid-level. And then some like to hang out on the ground, right? Even cardinals tend to eat on the ground. They are really live a big portion of their lives right on the ground. So if you can provide water in a way that is going to meet their needs and meet them where they like to be, you're going to be the popular yard for your birds. You are really catering to their wants and needs. So consider doing the variety of heights for bird baths, all right? Also consider cleaning it and how we clean it, okay? I always recommend daily, especially when we get into the heat temperatures, because not only is it going to make the water stay fresh and cool for birds, but daily will also clean it out and prevent the buildup of algae, mold, or bacteria that birds may bring as they come and visit your bird baths. All right, so consider using, a similar to how you clean your bird feeders, a mild soap, well rinsed. You could even use a vinegar solution to kind of clean that up. I like using a really stiff bristled brush, similar to this one. In fact, up in Wisconsin, where I have a seasonal site, I have my bird baths out there too, and I forgot my important bird bath brush. And I found the nearest local Wild Birds Unlimited in Wisconsin to where I'm at. And I went in there and I knew they would have this brush. And sure enough, they did. It has a really great bristle. They're stiff. And I love the handle. It works really well. It has this kind of, I don't know if you can tell, but it has this little depression, which is perfect for putting your thumb to put pressure where you need to. Sometimes we have those aggregate or stony kind of tops that aren't completely solid surface. It's not solid surface. Like the texture on it is a little bit raised, and this will get in all those nooks and crannies really well and make sure that you're getting that solid cleaning. Yes, you could use other products that potentially can clear the water and keep it from staining your bird bath. All of those, as long as they're good and safe for the birds, is well to use. One of the other things I really like to use to help maintain my bird bath in good condition is using these little copper discs. So if you can tell, there are these little feet at the bottom here, and when you set that in your bird bath, it raises it just enough so that water can go underneath it. Now, what does copper do in bird baths? Well, essentially, copper is a natural antimicrobial property. And when you put that in your bird bath dish, this will prevent algae from growing. And let me tell you, I have tested this in a bird bath that was mighty dirty. I set it in there, and within a couple hours, the whole circle underneath it was clear. Within 24 hours, majority of the green was gone. Some of it was, the algae was actually lifting up to the surface, and I barely had to do anything to clean it. In 48 hours, the green was gone. There was nothing left on there. It was all floating at the top. I scrubbed it out, cleaned it really well. Now, this copper disc isn't going to be a solve-all. Yes, it's going to keep the algae from growing in that stubborn algae that no matter where you put your bird bath, it always grows. This is going to prevent it from growing, but it doesn't take away the need for constant cleaning, okay? Because birds can reintroduce bacteria. Birds are wild, so they do carry different bacterias and unfortunately viruses. So it doesn't take away the need to clean, all right? But it does help prevent algae from growing. And if you're like me and cannot stand when that algae starts growing at all, this is a perfect way to make it super easy to clean your bird bath. Dump it out, scrub it out, rinse it out, and then refill. So much easier than having to sit there and scrub and scrub and scrub and scrub and get all that algae off. This is preventing the algae. We're just cleaning up any droppings or any other, leaves and things that might fall in the bird bath that might have been stuck in there. And it's less and less scrubbing for me. So I love this copper disc, and it's a really, really great price point too. It's under $15. So it's well worth it. People come back more and more for these and at least have one in every one of their bird baths. I even have a customer here that has put some of these in their dog's water bowl outside. And she always would say that the dog's water bowl would get algae in it over time, and this has really prevented that. So it's a really good way to keep your bird bath not algaing, or maybe a dog bowl that's for outside. Great way to do that, all right? All right. The other thing I want to talk about with bird baths is the depth of them, okay? The depth, in typical fashion to keep bird baths safe for birds, is that you want the water level to be no more than 2 inches deep. Okay, now sometimes bird baths are deeper. Case in point is this one right here, right? It looks like it's much deeper than probably the 2-inch mark. It might even be closer to the 3. But that frog that's sitting there is actually on a middle stepping area. So what you can do, or if your bird bath already has one, is put stones or something in the center that's going to give different areas of height for bird baths. You know, the smaller the bird, the less deep they are going to like the water. The bigger the bird, they don't mind if it's a little bit more deep because they're a bigger bird and they're not going to feel danger if they go into a deeper pool, if you will. Okay, so consider staggering the height in your bird bath dish for the height, different varying heights for birds as they approach. All right, so that's a good recommendation. I also like to place my bird baths somewhere where it's a little bit shady, especially in summertime. I like to put it in a little bit shadier spot than I would other feeders or different things in my yard because it's a place that we want them to keep cool. They're coming likely to the bird bath to either stay hydrated or to get cool, especially when we're in high heat days. So let's make it easier for them to get cool quicker. By putting your bird bath as close to a tree or a shrub, it's going to stay cooler. The other plus side to that is that it's going to provide shelter. So let's say they're at the bird bath, but a hawk comes into the yard. At least if the bird bath is nearby a tree or a shrub, they can quickly escape and find shelter from a predator. And that safety is going to make them feel more comfortable near your bird bath. Sometimes I find people are putting their bird bath in the center of their yard, and they often have a hard time attracting those birds to come to the bird bath. So an easy recommendation I might give you to change things up and try out is to move the bird bath closer to shelter, closer to a shrub that might provide safety. And many times that is the perfect solution for the problem. All right? Now the biggest tip I can give you to help you attract birds to a new bird bath or a new water source you're putting out is to get that water moving. I can't tell you enough how moving water is literally a bird magnet. Birds just cannot stand to pass by the sound of moving water. So if you can get your water source moving, you are going to be in store for a lot more bird activity, which is a lot more fun, let me tell you. There are a couple ways that you can make your water move even in a simple bird bath, okay? Let me show you some options. Something solar would be perhaps something like this. These are solar bird bath bubblers. And essentially they're the same thing. One is in the shape of a circle and the other is in the shape of a leaf. But the idea is that you put this in your bird bath and it comes with a 2-sided sticky tape so you can stick it to the bottom of your bird bath and it won't move to one side and drain out your bird bath, okay? But the idea is that this solar bubbler is not storing energy, so when it's sunny outside, it's going to flow. Yes, there are different nozzles and tops so that you can make this flow in a different pattern depending on what you like. So these are really great options. They're a really reasonable price point and an easy way for just about anyone to get your water moving. Another option, this is not solar. This does require electricity, but this is one of our rock bubblers. So I actually have this one here in store. We have it in a bird bath and you often may see it running when you come in the store. So this one is going to puddle up, it bubbles up the center of the rock and it trickles down. So yes, it kind of is a fountain and a bubbler, a two-in-one deal, if you will, right? But this one is a great way to not only add that staggering height in maybe a deeper bird bath dish, but also it's a great way to make that water move. Let me tell you guys, can't say it enough, they cannot resist the sound of moving water. Wigglers are another great option. These two options for water wigglers are battery operated. They use a D battery, okay? Use a D battery, and essentially the idea, let me see if I can bring it close enough so you can see in good lighting, hopefully. But essentially, you're putting this little device in there, and it has two little feet underneath it. Excuse me. And the feet are moving just on the top of the water, making little ripples in the water. So not only is it moving the water, it's not being too aggressive, it's not fountaining up, but it's just moving the water just enough to let the birds hear that sound. Another advantage to moving water, whether it's from a water wiggler, a bubbler, or the solar bubblers, anytime the water is consistently moving, it is impossible for mosquitoes to lay their eggs to hatch. They need stagnant water. So if you want to eliminate the amount of mosquitoes that are laid in your backyard, in your bird bath, you can keep it moving with a water wiggler or another source, and that will prevent them from being able to do that. So it's a great way to do that. Now, these two, this one is our standard. This one is the same thing, except it has a light that will light up at night, which is kind of nice. I know some of you really like your lights at night. This one is, in fact, a solar-powered water wiggler. So no batteries needed. It's just going to charge up using the sun, right? How cool is that? I like that there's different options because I know if you're like me or like just about anyone that comes in here, sometimes people don't have electricity in their backyard. Maybe they have a really shady backyard. So whatever the option is, whether you have a sunny backyard, you have electricity or not, or you need something that's kind of going to be both, we have an option for you. Other than bubblers and wigglers, another way to get the water moving and to be a real hot spot magnet for your birds is to put out a mister. So this is an example of one of our misters, and this one, I guess you can't really see the image too well, but it's running up the trunk of a small shrub. So this is, you hook it up to your hose and it will mist out a fine mist from maybe a shrub, right? So that's kind of really fun way to offer water to birds that's not in a bird bath. So think about the amount of hummingbirds that enjoy running through misters. I've been watering plants the past couple of weeks, and I have been noticing the hummingbirds diving and dipping and totally enjoying me watering my plants. And they're going in the stream, in the showers. They would love a mister. But not only them, there are many birds that will sit and enjoy the fine mist, cool off, preen while they're doing it, and you get to be center stage for all that action. So sometimes I've heard people use these, and they hook it up with a timer. So there's only on for so many hours or minutes, and then it shuts off. So you're not wasting water, and you're not, using it when you're not there or not going to need it. So consider that a mini mister like this. Our bigger mister is something like this. This also, it attaches to a bird bath, and it kind of hooks on there. It has a misting function, but it also has a dripping function. Yes, many birds, like the goldfinches, will sit on top of the dripper and drink upside down at the dripper. So it's a great way, again, to offer a regular water source, but then add something that's going to add movement. Like I said, they cannot resist the sound of moving water. So be that place where they want to be. Be the provider. Things that they like and cannot resist. You won't be disappointed, let me tell you. There's so many bird behaviors that you will see just by watching birds do their thing by water. Now, let's say we're getting into this hot temperature, right? And it's coming fast. It's coming tomorrow, right? There are some ways that you can provide water at varying heights in a quick DIY fashion. Let's talk about those real quick, okay? So let's say you have a typical bird bath, like one of these standing bird baths, but you want to be able to offer water for, let's say, ground birds, birds that hang out on the ground, or the critters that are in your backyard, right? Here are some suggestions on things you likely have in your own home that you could use as additional water sources during high heat temperatures. Okay, so think of things like pie pans or even baking pans. They're really shallow. Sometimes you have like an old one that, you know, I have one that I use for arts and crafts. Actually, right now it's being used for Legos. But that pan in high heat, like we're having this weekend, can be a perfect extra bird bath dish. And I'll just fill it up with just enough water and put it in a shady spot somewhere near, some vegetation. So it's easy access to safety if they need it. It will stay cool and it won't heat up at my metal pan as quickly as if it were in the direct sun. I can put that out there, fill it with a little bit of water, and bam! I have now a DIY ground bird bath dish. Okay. Another thing you could do is potentially use the saucers for pots. You know, like that thing that you put under your pot to collect the water as it drips down. Those make great extra bird bath dishes. So consider the things that you already have that you could potentially use for quick, easy water sources to provide for birds. Yes, it could be as simple as putting out a dish like this. And I love these dishes because they're light, easy, and they're inexpensive. And when I'm not using this, I'm often using a nice, pretty glass dish that I love to look at it. But in the winter, I can't always use my concrete or glass, those porous material bird baths. That's why these plastic ones come in handy, so I can switch it out and put out a plastic one, put a heater in it when it comes to winter. So that's what's great about these plastic dishes. Plus, they can go in varying heights, and you can nestle this into the mulch or into your backyard really easily, and it's perfect to go. So consider this weekend putting out a couple extra water sources for your birds. Not only the birds, the wildlife within your backyard, the bees, the butterflies, the chipmunks, all of them will take advantage of that water that you provide, and then you are helping that local wildlife. So thank you in advance for all the things you do for the birds and the wildlife in your own backyard, in your own yard. It's wonderful, and we can't do enough without you. So thanks for that, and enjoy the weekend. We hope to see you this weekend for our cat adoption event, or stop in and say hi. Fun fact, Shar will be back tomorrow for the cat adoption event. She's going to be working the store, giving us a helping hand. So if you'd like to come by and say hi to Shar, she'll be here. We can't wait to see her. We are so lucky to have her to come back, even in retirement. So yay to that, and cannot wait to see Shar again. But you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay cool out there, but do enjoy your birds, because we know how much they bring you joy, and we love hearing about the joy you are seeing. All right, thanks so much. You guys have a great Friday. Don't forget, if you ever want to see any of our past Friday lives, you can check it out on our YouTube channel. I have it posted in the comments for a quick, easy link, and you can check out all of our past Friday lives there. All right, guys, thanks so much. You have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye now.